Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Ceri Griffiths, also known as Ceri the Crafter. So today I thought we'd just have a friendly chat. Now I've got one of these really funky minds that likes to throw questions at me and I mull them over. Unnecessary topics just pop into my brain. I thought, you know what, let's do the odd friendly chat. Now this isn't something you need to comment on. You can if you wish. It's up to you entirely. This is just basically a fun and friendly chat just to see, maybe plant a seed of thought. So my question for you today, and I've obviously mulled this over quite a bit, is if someone was to offer you immortality, would you take it? And if you were to say yes, would you want some conditions in place before you accepted it? Now, I must admit, this is something I've asked myself over years. I don't know why. It's probably because of the sort of movies I watch. Sometimes immortality is with them, and I go, oh, I wonder whether I would want to become immortal. And I don't know. I kind of think I would, but there has to be a couple of caveats, I think the word is. First of all, my physical being has to be frozen in time to an age of my choosing. Like, I don't want to become immortal now because I'm already partly broken anyway. I'd say probably about 26. Yeah, say 26 years old. Also, I'd say yes to immortality if I had a choice to pass peacefully if I wanted to. Because you never know what's going to happen to you. Also, part of the immortality would obviously have to be self-healing, and if you lost a limb, it would have to regenerate. I know, a bit bizarre, a bit quirky, but those sort of things. Now, there are good things and bad things about this. So I know the first argument you're going to come up with me for me is, but all my friends and relatives will grow old and die. Note to you, I'm at the age where all of my friends and relatives are getting older, and all of my relatives have died. So, I mean, and I'm not immortal, and that's already happened to me. So you would not save yourself from the grief because you would do that. It's not very often that partners, couples pass away at exactly the same time. So one will always be put through the torment of grief of losing the other one. How would you deal with boredom is probably your next question. And that's probably the reason I would say yes to immortality. I think it would be incredibly exciting. Can you imagine taking a project and starting it and keep it going for a couple of 100 years to see it evolve? Think how much good you could do to mankind and the planet if we didn't have a time span. Normally, and I say normally in quotes here, you're born, you have childhood, you go through schooling, you go through college, university, whatever you go through, and then somewhere around about the college, university time, you sort of have a direction you want to go to. But by the time you've got to the direction and you've discovered what you're really passionate about, you're probably not as young as you needed to be to have started a long-term project. So I for that reason would like to. Now the thing is, the long-term projects could be many things. Like if you invested a small sum of money wisely, over time that would accrue interest. You could invest in properties. So I think therefore you can take the money issue out of it. I also think that I'm 65 now. I'll be 66 at Christmas, and I know within my lifetime I've seen the mobile phone, a computer, iPad, first man on the moon, first black and white TV, first color TV, the bringing down to the Berlin Wall. Oh, good God, there are so many things that have happened just in my meager 65 years. Can you imagine what you would see within 100 years or 200 years? It's like I've always had the fancy that I want to be an author. And over there on the shelf, I have started on a novel. It's sort of a fantasy fiction sort of novel, and I've been writing it for, oh God, must be 20 years now. And occasionally I pick it up and then I've got to reread it to make sure I know where I am. And then I do a few more chapters and then I put it back in the ring binder and leave it, and then I never do more for it for another couple of years. Then I pick it up and then it's one of those things. But just imagine thinking that, you know what? I can make that a priority for 30 years and I'll just explore and write that book. Or several of you quite kindly said, Ceri, have you ever thought of writing a biography? Yeah, I have started one of those as well. Is it finished? Nowhere near is it finished. I'm not dedicating the time enough to get this life onto paper. But if there is no time constraint, just imagine what you could do. You could choose a subject to research, to look into, to do some really in-depth exploration of it. Just, okay, as an artist, can you imagine if I was painting and creating for, say, the next 200 years, how much joy and learning and what would I be producing then? And what would I be producing with is the next question. I mean, within the last couple of 100 years, we've seen paints evolved and gone from natural paints and pigments to man-made paints and pigments. We've developed other things along the way. That just it blows my mind how much we could achieve. Like, okay, I just, it's my brain just goes on fire, guys. I'm like, okay, what would you do? Now, there are going to be disadvantages. Some would say loneliness is probably going to be part of it. And I think that would be true because I feel at some point you would sort of withdraw from the human race to a certain extent. I'm not saying become a hermit, but I think you would withdraw because you would think, why would I develop friendships when I know that friendship is going to be fleeting in the big picture of my life? My argument would be that every friendship gives you a unique layer of joy and love and passion. Why not? I mean, we all wink out at some point. But just think, I mean, I could have my own house built. I mean, I could build the house of my dreams and just it would be what I want to be. I mean, I could have gardens that I could watch growing a tree from a seed to being a mature tree. I mean, just the time. I mean, probably with the next couple of 100 years, we are likely to be living maybe on another planet as well as here. We're going to have probably destroyed this planet, to be honest with you, or I'm hoping we will have realized the error of our ways and come around and gone, you know what, we need to respect the planet more because it's going to eliminate us. Or a natural force of disaster is going to wipe stuff out. Just intriguing, absolutely intriguing. Just the fact that, like, I've always wanted to learn to play the piano. Now, when I worked on the cruise ships, and you know I worked on them for about 14 years as an entertainer, I had access to obviously all of the backstage equipment, all of the band equipment, and everything. So what I did is, excuse me, I got myself some piano books on how to learn to play the piano. And when we were in port and the passengers were on shore, usually once or twice a week, I would sit down at the orchestra piano and try and work it out. I got it. I'm terrible at reading music. I was more likely to be able to fudge my way through it and then learn what I did wrong and sort of learn it by ear than reading it, because I struggled reading music. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't want to play music. I mean, I would love to be able to play the piano. Unfortunately, rehearsals and new shows and work got in the way, and then eventually that slid by the side, and it's another thing that I never got around to completing. But to be able to just sit down at a piano and just play something beautiful, just, or even just let your imagination compose something beautiful, or a guitar or a violin or a clarinet, just anything. Well, there you go, I could learn an entire orchestra. uh, Things like long-term projects. Okay, choose one of the third world countries and focus on that country and see whether you could help turn that country around. Um, just just the enormity. I mean, the trouble is, as human beings, we think this big when actually we need to think this big. Um, we need to think more of the bigger picture and less of ourselves being the picture. I hope that made sense. Uh, Say, okay, what if I found a way to take the Sahara Desert and actually refertilize it? I know there are plans where they are doing bits of it, where they're regrassing and re-putting wildlife and stuff into it. But can you imagine how changing the Sahara Desert into a lush, verdant um, ecosystem, I think that's the right word, how much would that change the economy of that country? Um, Try and eliminate like starvation. I mean, I don't know why we have starvation in the world. Dear God, this planet has enough food for all of us. The trouble is that it's in the wrong places, and everyone is greedy and wants to make money out of what they produce, instead of just going like, we have a surplus of this, let's give it to somebody, because otherwise it's just going to go rotten and end up being landfill, or God, I don't know what they do with it all. Why not give it to somebody? And I know I'm being really simplistic. I don't know the ins and outs of how this would really work. But seriously, I think, okay, let's go through another tack then. Over the course of time, I could become maybe a political person. I could become a prime minister or a president, or I could become someone who could eventually wield enough power for good to make changes. Um, we've already seen on this planet, and I think, without saying anything too much, in a negative way, if you have billions and billions and billions in your account and you have huge corporate businesses, instead of swinging the compass towards selfishness and not helping, how about swinging the compass the other way? Okay, let's use Britain for an example. Right, the energy companies in the UK make millions in profit every year. You know what? Why don't you just in 1 year not make a millions in profit and give everyone free power for a year? Oh my God, what would that do to the economy? All of those families and people who are struggling to reach their energy bills would then have that pocket of money to maybe clear up debt, clear up a mortgage, clear up the credit cards. And as someone who's being immortal, you could be instrumental in that happening. I mean, we're never going to wipe out people who are inherently wicked or evil. We're never going to conquer greed. Um, we will always have people who are haters and racists and homophobics, and all of those are traits within the human DNA, which in some people comes to the fore, in other people is never even noticed or even recognized in our DNA. we are not going to cope with all that. We're not going to eradicate it. We are never going to get to the point where we are in a crime-free society, because we're not. We're just not. We could get to the point where there was no need for crime. I mean, greed will always have something to do with it, but why would you steal something from somebody if you're actually entitled to have it for free? Do you see what I mean? It's a weird. I mean, it's one of these. I mean, I'm broaching the question to you, just because next time you're on a walk or on your treadmill or you're just sat looking out the window, run the question through yourself. As I said, you don't need to comment about this question, because we've all got our answers, we've all got our thoughts. None are right, none are wrong. But just think, how much could we change things? How much could we change ourselves? And I'm not saying surgery or anything. I'm just the amount of knowledge that you could accrue, because you know you're not going to get unhealthy, you're going to stay fit and viable, you're going to be in a vehicle, which is your body, that will be able to do what you put it up to doing. It's just fascinating, guys. Absolutely fascinating. We'll be up. Well, okay, it's over call for now. And I think what I'm going to do is, because I've got a lot of these questions, and they're things that I write down, because they're things that sometimes turn into coffee with Ceri's. Sometimes, oddly enough, they come up as questions in Ask Ceri. And I think what I might do is occasionally, I'm not going to commit to anything, I might throw one of these short little videos in and broach a question, because I've got at least 15 or 20 of them already. And they're things that make me think. They take me away from the everyday thought process. And as I said, I've got one of those overactive imaginations that throws up questions all of the time. And I'll be creating and arting and doing jobs, and my brain is going, what if da 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 da? And how could I do this? And my brain is a problem solver. And in life, I've always been a problem solver. When I was a performer and a dancer, quite a few people used to call me Yoo-hoo. Yoo-hoo is that glue stick, you know, the one, I've heard it pronounced in very interesting ways in America. Yoo-hoo, the one that comes in the yellow, and you can get it so it's purple and then it dries clear. Yoo-hoo, U-H-U, I think that's how it's pronounced, how it's spelled, Yoo-hoo glue. And they used to call me Yoo-hoo because I was the one who kept it all together. I'm not on purpose, it just happened to happen around me. Probably because I'm quite good at talking things out and problem solving and finding remedies for things. I can't say I can cure everything in the world, but I have luckily enough got that logic that will go A, B, C, D, E. Instead of going A, C, B, D, E, F, 9, 10, all over the place. My brain likes to problem solve. And I think part of that is the reason why I'm always throwing up these sort of questions. So something new, as I said, something different. I mean, we'll get there in this. Something I've done as well is I've ordered a set of microphones, because a couple of you still have problems hearing my videos, which I do not understand at all. I mean, seriously, when I watch one of my own videos, my ears are almost bleeding. I've got it cranked up so loud. Like when I edit, I mean, these are microphones as well. When I edit, I usually crank my volume up to 175%. When I do this one, which is face forwarding, I crank the volume up to 400%. And for me, that's huge. But then I still have people going, but I can't hear you. It's really quiet. I have no idea why. So I've invested some of the money that I have, this little pot of money. And when subscribers and friends and that have done a super thanks or donated a little bit to my YouTube channel, I put it away. And then when something comes up that I really need or want, I get it. So I bought some microphones, which are Bluetooth microphones, and I did a lot of research, and I will tell you what they are when I get to open the package. I mean, the package is here. I'm just nervous about new technology. I'm like, oh, I'll let it sit for a week. But anyway, part of that is there are 2 microphones in it. So what I'm going to do is I have a few friends who have very interesting careers, who have been friends of mine for years. And I really do think I might do the odd interview, which I think would be interesting. I mean, I've got at least one in mind that I might do next month, actually. Also, because I will have a dedicated microphone, which I can clip here. It's only about this big. Clip here. It's not like a lanyard one. It's I can't remember. It's EMJ or EIJ. I can't remember. Anyway, so it means that when I'm out and about, I could literally sit in the park and talk to you, and you will hear me crystal clear no matter what's going on around me. So it does mean that maybe I don't need to be in my studio to do the videos. Also, a lot of you have actually asked me, Ceri, can you show us some of Cardiff? I've always been a bit nervous of that because if I'm filming it, I've then got to shout at the iPad to be heard, and these pick up other noises as well. Whereas the dedicated one, I think it's even got noise cancellation on it or something. So I might do some clips around Cardiff just so you can see where I live. You've asked about it. I've just not done it. I mean, we've got some beautiful buildings and castles and manipulative government buildings and parklands, and it would just be interesting, especially our arcades. We've got historical shopping arcades, which are absolutely beautiful. And no, I don't want to do a voiceover. I'd rather talk to you as I'm seeing it. Anyway, 21 minutes, that's way enough for a quick question from me. So thanks guys for your patience. Thanks for enjoying this. Hopefully you'll enjoy this sort of interaction. I'm trying to spice up the YouTube channel a bit to give a little bit more variety. And I like talking to you, and I have no problem with you seeing my face. Grief. No supermodel, but I have no problem seeing my face. I thought it'd just be nice, make it a bit more human, gives you the opportunity to make a cup of tea and get a chocolate biscuit down you. So guys, take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.